For generations, the Sun Clan of the West and the Moon Clan of the East had been locked in a bitter feud over the fertile valley of the Kyan River. Each claimed ancestral right to the land, and the river ran not just with water, but with the memory of spilled blood. On the western bank lived Anya, a daughter of the Sun Clan. She was not a warrior by birthright, but by fierce talent and unwavering will. While other girls learned embroidery, Anya mastered the spear. While they sang gentle ballads, she learned the war cries. She fought not for hatred of the Moon Clan, but for a fierce love of her people and a deep-seated belief in their cause. On the eastern bank lived Kael, the only son of the Moon Clan's chieftain. A thinker more than a fighter, he spent his days studying herbal medicine and the ancient scrolls of peace his grandmother had hidden away. He saw the toll the war took on his people, the hungry children, the grieving mothers, and his heart ached for an end to the cycle. Their fathers, the two chieftains, were mirrors of each other's stubborn pride. The river between them was a chasm of hostility. One autumn, during a fragile truce to celebrate the harvest moon, a faction of hot-headed Sun warriors broke faith. They ambushed a Moon Clan hunting party near the Silver Falls, a sacred place upstream, away from the main villages. Anya, horrified by this dishonor, was sent by her guilt-ridden father to scout and ensure no retaliatory party was approaching. As she moved silently through the midst of the falls, she heard a pained groan. Crouching behind a boulder, she saw a young Moon Clansman, his leg pinned under a fallen log that must have rolled during the earlier skirmish. It was Kael. He had come to forage for healing moss, not to fight. Anya watched, her hand tight on her spear. Here was the enemy's son, vulnerable. A single, swift strike would be a great victory for her clan. But as she watched him struggle, not with anger, but with calm determination, she saw not a monster from the stories, but a human in pain. His face was kind, edged with frustration, not malice. Her warrior's heart, trained to harden, instead softened with a pan of empathy. Against every instinct, every teaching, Anya lowered her spear. She stepped from the mist. Kael started, fear flashing in his eyes, reaching for a knife at his belt. "Be still," Anya said, her voice firm but not unkind. "I am not here to spill more blood today." She used her spear not as a weapon, but as a lever. With great strength, she shifted the log just enough for him to pull his leg free. It was badly bruised, but not broken. As he stared at her, recognizing the Sun Clan markings on her armor, confusion and wonder replaced his fear. Why, was all he could ask. "Because the river should not run red today," she answered, handing him a strip of cloth from her belt to bind his ankle. Their fingers brushed, and a strange, electric stillness passed between them. In that moment, by the rushing waters, they saw each other truly, not as symbols of war, but as two young souls weary of it. They parted without names, but with each other's faces etched in their minds. The image of the moon boy with the thoughtful eyes haunted Anya. Days later, she found herself returning to a narrow, hidden part of the river, shielded by weeping willows. To her astonishment, he was there, sitting on a rock, sketching plants in the dirt. He looked up. "No fear this time. I hoped you might come," Kael said. "I wanted to thank you. And to return this." He held out her cloth strip, now cleaned. Thus began a series of secret meetings. Under the veil of the willows, they talked. Anya spoke of her love for her people's songs and stories, of her desire to protect, not just to fight. Kael shared his dreams of a valley where the river was used to irrigate shared fields, not to mark a border. He showed her medicinal herbs, and she showed him how to throw a spear straight and true, not to kill, but for defense. They taught each other their languages, their customs. Love, quiet and deep as the river pools, grew between them. They named it not treason, but truth. But the world outside their sanctuary was growing hotter with anger. The dishonorable ambush demanded vengeance. The chieftains declared a final, great battle to settle the valley once and for all. Both Anya and Kael were summoned to fight. Their secret peace now felt like a fragile raft in a storm. The night before the battle, they met for what they feared was the last time. "There must be another way," Kael pleaded, holding her hands. "Our love proves the hatred is a lie." "My father will never listen," Anya said, tears in her warrior's eyes. "And yours is the same." Then we must make them see, Kael said, an idea dawning. Not with words from us, but with an action so brave, it shames their war. Together, under the moon, they forged a desperate plan. It was not a plan of attack, but of profound sacrifice. At dawn, the two clans assembled on opposite sides of the wide, shallow ford at the valley's heart. Drums beat. Spears rattled. The chieftains gave their roaring cries. As the front lines surged forward into the river, two figures broke from the ranks, not to charge the enemy, but to run into the very center of the flowing water. Anya and Kael stood back to back in the middle of the ford, the cool water swirling around their knees. Anya faced her own son clan, Kael faced his moon clan. Together, they threw down their weapons. The spears and sword floated away, useless. A stunned silence fell over the battlefield. People of the sun, Anya cried, her voice carrying over the waters. This man is my enemy only if I choose to hate. I choose instead to love. His people bleed as we bleed. Their children hunger as ours do. Is this river worth more than our humanity? Kael then called out, people of the moon. This warrior has shown me more mercy than my own kin have shown in years. She has shown me that courage is not just in striking, but in sparing. Will we let the ghost of the past drown the future? The chieftains, their faces purple with rage, shouted orders to advance. But the warriors in the front, looking at the defiant, vulnerable pair in the river, their own children, in spirit, found their feet rooted. A young sun warrior lowered his bow. A moon shield bearer dropped his shield into the river with a splash. Seeing they were to fight drained from their armies, the two chieftains were left with only their own echoing shouts. The silence that followed was louder than any war cry. In that silence, they finally saw the absurdity of it all, mirrored in the stubborn, loving faces of their children. A weathered elder from the Moon clan, Kael's grandmother, stepped to the bank. The river does not hate, she said softly, yet all heard. It simply flows. It gives drink to both banks. These two have shown us its true nature. Slowly, shamefaced, the chieftains approached the water's edge. Anya and Kael, still standing firm, did not flinch. The Sun chieftain looked at his daughter, seeing not disobedience, but a courage greater than any he possessed. The Moon chieftain saw in his son not weakness, but the strength of a true leader. There, in the river that had divided them, a new pact was formed. Not a truce, but a true peace. The valley would be shared. The river Kyan would be a source of life, not a line of death. Anya and Kael's love did not end the feud magically. It was the key that unlocked a door long rusted shut. They had to work, with others, to build trust where there was none. They were married not on one bank or the other, but on a new bridge built at the very ford where they took their stand. The bridge was made of willow, a tree that bends but does not break. Anya became the head of the Valley Guard, a new force made of both clans to protect their shared home. Kael established a healing house on the riverbank, tending to all who came, sun or moon.